just like us, bees need water. Bees will travel up to 300 meters for some nice water to bring back to the hive. They use the water to drink it. They also use it to cool down their hive, the inside of the colony. They'll bring the water back into the hive. They'll put it against the sides of the frames, the sides of the walls. They'll flap their wings and they'll start using it as evaporative cooling. That air against the moisture brings the temperature of the hive down. Inside the hive, you're looking at a normal temperature of about 35 degrees when there's eggs and larvae in there. When the queen's not laying eggs, there's no larvae, no cat brood, that temperature does come down a little bit, especially for winter here in beautiful Canberra. So, one very important thing when it comes to bees and water, yes, they'll go up to 300 meters, which out here, my neighbours are more than 300 meters away. I've just got my dam and see the colour of that? We don't swim in that, so that's all good. But if you're an urban beekeeper, you're living on a standard 600-700 meter block, your neighbour has a pool or a couple of doors up has a pool, and your bees don't have water near their hive, near their colony, they might end up at your neighbour's pool. And bees will regularly return to the same water source until that water source is empty. It's going to take your bees a long time to drain your neighbour's pool, and they aren't going to be very impressed with that. So you're better off having a water source fairly close to your hive. You don't want to put it right next to your hive and attract other bees to your colony. You want to try and have it 5-10 meters away. But the less distance your bees have to travel, the less energy they're exerting to get that water, and the less chance they're going over to your neighbours, and your neighbours are stepping on a bee and blaming you. So, how do you provide your bees with some water? Good question. Got a few different options, depending on how many colonies you have. If you've just got a single colony, you could use a bird bath. You could use a fountain. Maybe you've got a pond. Maybe you've got an old dog bowl. That will do. But remember, you have to keep this topped up so your bees don't go to your neighbours. Bees will generally, on a hot summer's day, go through up to 1 litre per colony. So old Fido's bowl here is going to be topped up at least twice a day. Not the best idea. You'll notice I've got some sticks here. These aren't for decoration. While bees are incredibly smart, for some reason they just don't get it when it comes to water. Bees drown a lot in water. They need a way to come out of the water, and something that floats, sits in the bottom of the water that the bees can walk up on, like sticks or rocks that protrude above the waterline, are a great source of help for your bees. Your next option is you could go just a 9 litre bucket. These are fairly cheap, $1.50, $2 at your local hardware store. They do wear out fairly quickly though, but you can fill them up in your laundry sink, bring it back out, put something in there to float in it, and you've got water for your bees. Moving up from a 9 litre bucket, you could go to your local hardware store and get a 20 litre bucket. You can see this has some sticks in it as well. Obviously, these sticks could be floating on top of the water, or they could go all the way down to the bottom and the bees could walk up. Something like this is really handy if you don't want to fill your water up too often, but 20 litres of water can be very heavy. So if you've got to walk more than a few meters to put your water source out to your bees, maybe this is not a great idea. Another option you have, just a standard tub. You can get these from $2 shops, big box stores as well. These have some handles on it. bit easier to carry, but still, I think this one's 30 litres. So it's not great to carry 30 litres out, but it might be a bit easier than that 20 litre bucket we just put down. If you've got 2 or 3 colonies, this sort of thing might be a better way to go than a 9 litre bucket. You can always bring your 9 litre bucket to fill up your 30 litre tub. Remember, having something on top to float. Even something like a lily pad that can just sit in the water and bob around. If you've got a few of these, you can actually buy some water plants to sit in your water and they'll grow out on top. Perfect for the bees. Now if you've got more than 3 or 4 hives, the next step up, the old kid's shell. You definitely can't carry this around, but you can put it somewhere and you can top it up, either with your garden hose or with your bucket system. Something like that, you can put some straw in the top, otherwise some rocks. Sticks again are effective. All of the things that I've shown you just now are all stagnant water sources. The water is not moving. That means it gets dirty pretty quickly. Got a couple of options there. You can buy a cheap solar powered pump. I've bought these from online stores before. Costs about $20. The latest one I bought lasted 2 seasons. For $20 it wasn't bad. It definitely made a difference to the water. The water stays cleaner, clearer for longer, and ideally you want to be able to drink that water yourself. You don't want to be putting that really dark, muddy water in your buckets. The bees will drink it. There is an argument. Some people think that there's some good minerals in there that are good for the bees, but providing that fresh water is definitely a better start. So trying to make sure your water isn't stagnant is definitely beneficial. Your bird bath or your fountains, that's already solved. Your solar panelled pumps, that works as well. Otherwise you might just get a bubbler rather than a pump, just an oxygenator like you do for a fish aquarium. That can also be beneficial for you. If you're going beyond sort of 5 or 10 colonies, you're going to want a serious water source. So let me show you my IBC. This here is my IBC, 1,000 litre water drum. You can see there's a hole cut out of the top of it. I've even got some water plants growing in here. Totally unintentional. Certainly didn't plant those suckers. This pipe here comes and fills it in. I've got a solar pump from my dam that I can just pump it straight in, fill this straight up. Yes, it's not that clean drinking water that we were talking about earlier, but I have no way of trucking 1,000 litres out to here. This is not my primary source of water for my bees. I use this more for my gardening, my irrigation, but the bees do come here on occasion. If you have some land somewhere, you don't live where your bees are, this is a handy way of doing things. Bringing an IBC out, filling it up with water. You've only got to fill that up once or twice a season. The benefit as well, these things last a long time. So let me show you inside it, show you what else you can use so that your bees don't drown. Those holes mean the bees can get underneath, in and have a bit of a drink, then come back up. Doesn't matter whether you get the mats with the holes or without the holes. Holes are a little bit better, but doesn't really make a difference at the end. As long as the bees have a way of getting out of the water, that's the key thing. These mats used to be spread all the way across, and you can see over time they've just lapped up one on top of the other. Again, because this is not my main source of water for my bees, I'm not overly fussed. They do have a method of getting in and out.